welcome to the Healing Courageously podcast, where we engage in open, honest, and healthy conversations about everything from addiction, abuse, and recovery to marriage, family, and spirituality. We hope you find this podcast helpful. Our goal is that you will find a new way of living as you look closer at yourself in these areas of your life, which will lead to a new and happier and healthier you. Now, here's your host, Randy Boyd. Hey, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Healing Courageously.
I love it.
And with my beautiful wife, who is joining us again for the third time in a row. She keeps me in line, though. She adds a little bit of character to this thing, a little bit of beauty.
Oh, character.
Character, yeah, you're a character.
Yeah,
you're a
character.
character.
Right?
Yeah, you're a character. I guess the right word would be a little bit of beauty.
Thank you.
You know, I'm just kind of a rough and tough looking guy, so I'm not a pretty boy. I suppose if I shave this off, I'd be a pretty boy.
No, you're fine.
Okay, all
You're
right.
fine.
All right. So, what we're going to talk about this week is
Why be intentional?
Why be intentional? Yeah, why be intentional about everything that we do, whether it's work, relationships, play, whatever it is you might be doing in life. It's one thing that Cathy brought this up. She talks a lot with our clients about being intentional with the goals or with what they want to do. It's figure out what they want to do and then be intentional about making those steps to make that.
It's about just really identifying the need for change, knowing what needs to be changed, and then being intentional about the focus of that change.
Right.
So I don't know. That's just one of those healthy recovery words in my mind is intentional. Intentional.
But now a little disclaimer on that. Okay. Husbands, don't try to change your wives.
No.
And wives, don't try to change your husbands.
That is far too much work.
Oh, man, I tell you, you're going to open up a wasp nest that you wish you never even would have gone into.
That was my project. Randy was my project for many years. And
well, you were my project, too.
I know, it goes both ways. But, boy, did we find out that really doesn't work well.
No, we have to realize that, first of all, if we're married or we're in a serious relationship with somebody, that we're in it for a reason, and we chose that person for a reason. And like we talked about on our last episode, that a lot of times it's a physical attraction that'll draw us to a person.
Right.
But then what hopefully and what should keep you in that relationship through, sickness and health and all that is the inward beauty that person has. And we can't define that for you. We can define what we know worked for us and what has worked for a lot of other couples, but that's a definition that only you can define, okay? So if you married him for a purpose, then, don't try to change that beautiful aspect about him.
Yeah. But
that being said, right, as we grow older in our life and in our marriage, we're going to change. But that is where open and honest communication is a key part to the growth of the relationship.
Right. And I think that change can be healthy change if both parties are aware going into a marriage that we will change, and it's about being aware that there are changes that take place in people's lives that cause change. You get older, certain things start happening to your body. You don't look the same as you did when you were 20 years old and first started dating, There's those obvious changes, but there's also the emotional changes that take place within a relationship as well as we mature and know more about ourselves individually as well as our spouse or our partner. Exactly.
For men, it's like, the midlife crisis. Hey, you know what? Just suck it up. Make sure you talk to your wife the whole time. I made the mistake of falling into that midlife crisis scene, and it almost cost me everything I had. So,
women could say menopause.
Yeah.
That's another change in life.
I think again, I know we harp on this a lot, but it's communication.
Yeah.
You have to be able to communicate with each other and be honest with each other about what's going on. There's been times when Cathy hasn't liked me and I haven't liked her.
Yep.
That's just a fact of life. But I
Right.
still love her. I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah.
She's
No, it's
having a
good.
bad day, and it's like, dang, and I'm having a bad day, and she's going, dang, what happened to the monster?
Yeah. It's
He came
okay to
back
have
out.
those
So
bad days.
right.
So
So what is intentionality? What isn't,
so
intentional?
I'm just gonna read the definition of intentional. And intentional means to do on purpose, to be deliberate. Being intentional is about bringing a commitment, focus, and attention to something important to you. I think that's key. It's typically when we're intentional about something, it's because it's important to us.
Right.
If you want to be intentional every day, you need to get a clear upfront. You need to be clear and upfront about what you want to achieve and take action in achieving it. So, intentional is definitely an action word.
Mm-hmm.
There are some steps to being intentional every day that we're going to go over, but it requires action on our part. It's not just the thought, it's the follow through of the thought of what we're being intentional, what that purpose is.
And sometimes that intentionality to dive into it can be scary and painful.
Mm.
Why? Because we're stepping out of our comfort zone. I mean, a lot of times that's what I had to do, especially in writing my book. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, right? So we can't let that fear freeze us, as in frozen, from moving forward in our project or our goal,
Our purpose.
our
Yeah,
purpose, our
that's
purpose.
good.
We have
That's
to
really
we
good.
have to just walk through it, and that's why it's really important to have a good mentor at the same time.
Yeah. So there's a few steps we're going to walk through with you. One is to be deliberate with your day. What does that look like? You want to know, what does that look like? Every day we have time, we have energy, we have a focus, and we need to identify what time, energy, and focus is to us. With being intentional with your time ensures that you have a clear structure of your day, and it allows you to establish daily routines to support your goals. And I look at this, I'm going to go back to when I was working. Um, I loved what I did. Of course, I had other people's livelihood in my hands. I was dealing with thousands of dollars. Sometimes people were buying and selling houses for the very first time. And when you think about that, that's probably one of the biggest
Mm-hmm.
investments
It
people
is,
have.
yeah.
And so I worked on a calendaring system because my ultimate goal was to get the not the transaction opened and closed. And so for me, in my work environment, I had to be intentional about how I was going to accomplish that. And so the calendaring system worked for me great. It allowed me to identify what needed to be done that day or on that particular file. If I needed, it wasn't just me doing it. If I needed to delegate the work to somebody else, it also allowed me to follow through on that. So I had, and I'm very visual. So for me, that made it easy to be intentional
Mm-hmm.
by having a calendaring process that I worked off of. And it allowed me the opportunity for follow up when needed. And that was something that was an important tool when you're dealing with real estate transactions. So for me, I had to be deliberate about my day, so I had to put everything down in writing. I had to be specific to the transaction. When I think about being deliberate about my day to day in retirement, when we first got settled in our house, I'm like, okay, now what do I do? I don't have work anymore. I've got 9 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours of the day.
She sleeps half of it. No, I'm kidding. She doesn't.
Well, I did at the beginning, but I'll tell you, once I realized I can't do that every day, I had to be intentional about even my
Yeah,
retirement day.
yeah.
So I started out by making a Monday through Friday list of things to do. So I had to be intentional about my day, even in retirement. So what do you want
You
to add
know,
to that?
there in a couple things. I mean, I want to go into. Well, when I was writing my book, I was very intentional about that, and I had somebody writing out a schedule and a writing schedule for me. So, just because somebody would write that out doesn't mean that I was going to complete it. I had to be intentional every day about setting a certain amount of time aside so that I could start
Mm,
writing the content of my book.
yeah.
I couldn't just say, okay, well there it is, cool. But I had to be very intentional about that. But here's what's more important, because we do talk about marriage sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that I had the affair in 2004, and then we went 2005, I started seeing a therapist. Then I got into recovery in 2006. I had to be very intentional about the steps I took to repair our marriage.
That's
I
great.
couldn't go into it half, let's say it half-ass. I couldn't. That's okay because ass is in the Bible. It's a donkey. But I had to be intentional every day. I had to. Okay, I mean, I had a business with lots of employees. So how am I going to do this? And blah blah blah. So I had first thing I had to do was talk to my staff and structure how the day was going to be. That this is what I got to do. This is what I'm expecting of you guys to do. And that was going into. I mean, that was huge for me because I had to delegate a lot of work to different people on the business that I had built. So I had to make sure that my day was structured. So they got the day started. I would go to my meetings in the morning, and then I would get into the office and I'd do what work I had to do. And then during the day, there were some times I had some really hard days. I'd have to pick up the phone and make sure that when I felt in trouble, I was going to call somebody so I didn't pick up a drink. I picked up that 500-pound phone. Then I would have to, there's just a lot of intentionality in that because if I would have hiccuped along the way, Kathy and I might not be sitting here today.
Yeah.
So it's being intentional about, I want to get sober, all right? I need to get sober is one thing, right? If I need to do this, okay, that's great. Do you want to? So if you don't want to, you need to, but if you don't want to, you might as well just sit back and you've got to have that desire to start moving forward.
Right.
And once you have that desire to start moving forward, then you start setting goals for yourself, and then you become intentional about setting those goals. And I tell you what, Kathy and I have done some really, 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 really hard work to get to where we're at today. Especially me, because I was the one that committed the crime, so to speak, right? So
on the recovery process itself.
Right, yeah, the recovery process. So it's not just the drinking and the alcohol that I had to work on, because I thought at first, well, that's it. No, it's everything else.
That's just the beginning.
That's just the beginning. Alcohol is a symptom. It's not the problem.
Yeah. But it's interesting that you say that because the next one is to be clear on the results you want. And that leads, first of all, we've got to be intentional about our day, but then we need to be clear on the results we want. And you've got some information to share about some SMART goals that are very, very helpful in doing that.
So in my coaching, we have what they call the SMART goals. And it's SMART, and it's an acronym, right? So what we want to do when we look at our goals is like, well, I want to be a millionaire. Oh, whoa, time out. Okay, you're not just going to go from A to B. It's how are you going to get to be a millionaire? First of all, let's come back a little bit. I wanted to get our book done in Spanish, right? And I've been fighting that dealing with that for a long time. So here's the deal. So SMART stands for S is specific. A goal is specific when you can describe it concretely to others. So it's pretty easy for me. My book's already written. Now I just need to find somebody to translate it, right? And so therefore, I look for somebody that can translate it. It's pretty concrete. This is what I need to start, okay? Then the M is measurable. You need to be able to tell when you've accomplished it, okay? So when am I going to know if I've accomplished my book being translated? When the translator hands me my book back all translated, okay? So in that part, in those first two parts, what I'm waiting for now is the second part. Now I have to have the book formatted and edited, okay?
That's good.
So being specific, I need to find somebody to format and edit the book, which I have done, and it's measurable when I get the book back, okay? Is it attainable?
So A is attainable.
A is attainable. It can't be a pipe dream or something unrealizable. Bring it back to reality, right? I want to be a millionaire. Who doesn't? Okay. How about, in 6 months, I want to be able to save $10,000. That's assuming you have a sizable income coming in and you have some extra cash. Okay. Well, what are you going to do to get to that $10,000? Okay. So can you really do in 6 months $10,000?
So it has to be something
It's
that's realistic and
realistic.
attainable so that you don't set yourself so far out of reach that you become discouraged.
All right.
That's good. I like that.
It's like, here's an example that I'll read you. It says, I want to take a second honeymoon on our anniversary this year.
That sounds good. When are we going to
Yeah.
go?
It's probably unattainable if you are 7 months into pregnancy and your anniversary is in 2 months.
Yeah. I get that.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, so it's the little things.
It's a realistic, attainable goal. Is
Exactly.
What it really
We got to be
to.
logical.
Yeah.
Logical. Man,
Yeah.
my talker went off today. Relevant. R is relevant. A goal is relevant when it's important to you. When it's important to you, when it references your values. All right? So my book being in Spanish, right? My book period, it was a big reference of my values.
Yeah.
I mean, my original book was like my editor said, and I told her, I says, this book's too important to the world to rush. And she says, I agree. Okay. So it's important to me. The values are there for me. That book needs to get out, especially to the Spanish community.
Right. That's great.
So it's relevant. And it's got to be time specific.
So T is for time
specific. Time is for Tim, yes.
T is for time specific.
T is for time specific.
See, we're human. You can tell. Today's one of those days.
Yeah. Goals are not open-minded. Okay. They have dates attached.
Yeah, that's good.
They have dates and I got to tell you, there's some goals that I do, especially with working out and trying to lose a little bit of weight here and there. That it's like, come on, boy, be realistic about all this.
I have to pull them back.
I can't. Yeah, it's just. I mean, I got to be open-ended about it. I got to realize, things I've changed, things have changed, everything else. So, but I have to, like with my book again, right? I was very time specific.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm hoping, like right now, we're saying September, and I talked to my editor the other day. She's almost done with everything, so I'm hoping by the end of September that the book will be on Amazon.
Yeah.
So everything, it's a realistic goal, right? If I said I want the book done in September and I haven't even got a translator yet, good luck.
That's not a very good smart
That's
goal.
Not a very smart goal.
No.
Smart goal at all.
It's interesting you're talking about time specific, because that's the next one, is being purposeful with your time. Being intentional is all about being purposeful with your time to help you achieve the most important goals. And that's kind of what we talked about there as well.
Exactly.
When you are intentional with your time, you have a clear structure of your day and establish a positive daily habits and routines. And I think that is super, super healthy in any journey that you're on, whether it's a journey of recovery, sobriety, change of relationships, value, or recovery of relationships, is that we have to establish daily healthy routines. I know that there are days where I'll give an example of a friend that I'm working with. She'll have a tough day at work, and it's very easy to beat herself up, but it's not. And so if we allow ourselves to get out of time or get discouraged, we lose track of time, I think is where I'm going with that. So I think it's really important that we are focused on the time we have in our day, and that we stay focused on that, and we're intentional and purposeful with that time.
It could be easy to lose that, to get away from that. And what I want to say, as you were talking, I was thinking, is that nobody else is responsible for our time.
That's great.
And what we do during the day except for us.
Yeah.
We can't blame, well, Susie came over. It's like, no. There's boundaries that have to be set when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like I said, when I was writing my book, I had to set aside a time. And believe me, it was hard writing my book. It wasn't fun and easy. But I did it. Even if it was a half hour, as the person that was helping me said, Randy, just sit down and type, I don't want to write, I don't want to write, I don't want to write, and then things will start flowing. I couldn't blame, if I didn't do it, it was nobody's fault but my own.
Right.
Because I allotted myself a time period to do that, just like with recovery.
Yeah, and it's interesting you said that, because a few weeks ago at the last church service that we were at, there was something that the pastor had shared, and it has to do with being intentional. And I have really just kind of swayed away from any type of a daily routine for myself. Um, and it really ties around time, and that's my own Bible reading, my own time to study. And then one of the other things that I've a goal that I've set is to start really reading, like read a book. And so I've been pretty good about setting my
Mhm.
time for my Bible study time, but it's that reading. And I think again, a lot of these are hard to jump into if we're not used to doing it. But it's like anything, any good healthy habit's going to take time to get onto that habit. But again, we have to be intentional with that time. And when you mentioned the word boundaries, and I think that's what's important, and I needed to hear that just as much, is that we can't waver from those boundaries.
Mhm.
If we have a set time to get things done, we have to be intentional about that boundary. And that boundary, remember, is not for anybody else but ourselves.
Right.
And so if we can't stick with that boundary of time for ourselves, again, that can become discouraging. And then that's one of those things where, everybody throws their hands up and says, never mind, forget it, I can't do this anymore. So, it's really one of those things that you have to be able to say, I'm going to do it. I speak it out loud to you. I speak it out loud
Mm-hmm.
to you so that I can be held accountable to the time
She don't
I
like when I
need.
hold her accountable.
No, it's hard. It is hard. I'm human in that nature, and I'm used to having my own little structure of things. But when I'm trying to change something, I need somebody to help me be accountable to that. And I think that's the difference in this for me, is that I'm trying to do something different. I'm trying to do something new. And that's really what recovery is about too, is as well as doing something different than we've done before. So it's
Yeah.
great to have
Right.
somebody in your life, a mentor, who can gently nudge you to doing that.
When we're talking about time and intentional time, we'll drop back into relationships. Is some Kathy and I will discuss with our couples all the time. Is that you have to be intentional about making time for your spouse.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to hear I'm too busy. Right. Your number one ministry is your family. Period.
Yeah.
And priorities in life, what I was taught when I got in recovery, and I've taught it to several different people, and it's worked. It's hard to grasp. Is God, recovery, personal health, family, and work is the last thing on the list, right? Just because you're working, busting your butt, making tons of money, doesn't mean you're a good husband or a good
Right.
father.
And
So it's
that is one of these here too, is being mindful of your most important relationships.
exactly. I
So
mean, you have to make time. You have to put it on your calendar almost. And I know we get busy with kids, we get busy with this, but I guarantee you, mom has time. And not everybody. I know some people are tight on time, and I'm being realistic about this. But there's a lot of people out there that mom will have time to go out during the day and have coffee with the girls, and dad will go out and have beers after work, and blah blah blah. Take one of those days and spend it with your spouse. Be intentional about really getting to know your spouse, who they are. You might be
yeah.
5 years into your marriage, and it's like, I don't even know you anymore. Well, no, you don't spend time like you used to.
Yeah, I just want to read this because this is
Yeah, go ahead.
based upon what you're saying right now. This is so, I think the way that this is stated here makes it very clear. Is intentionality increases the value of your most important
Yeah.
relationships and brings a deeper meaning to them.
Yep.
When you appreciate your most important relationships, you experience greater gratitude, abundance, and self awareness. So if we're not acting out the intentionality of those important relationships, we're not aware of how important they are to us.
Right.
And so I think for us right now, we're at a place where we spend quite a bit of time together. And sometimes that's great. And it's given me a different self awareness. It's given me that desire to be your wife. It's given me
Mm-hmm.
that desire to cook and to get creative in the kitchen. But I can think back on, there were times where I struggled with that, but it was because I wasn't being intentional. We weren't being intentional in our marriage. We had so many things going
Yeah.
on that it wasn't that we didn't want to. We had the excuse that we don't have today, that we don't have time.
Yeah.
And I think in that process of our life, in that journey, that part of our journey of our marriage, we didn't have these tools to work with. So because Randy coached our son, I coached our daughter, our other son was travel ball, and we were constantly on the go. The beauty and all that, which I still am so blessed and grateful for, is the fact that we did do it as a family.
Yes. Yes.
But even those busy schedules, 5 minutes. Hey, let's go for a quick walk. Let's walk around the block. Let's have a conversation. I wish we knew that then, because when the kids were all gone, and I looked at him, I'm like, okay, now what do we do? If I had had this in my life then, this tool, I think
Right.
it would have jump started our emptiness
Yeah.
situation
But
a little easier.
Again, we were just going by the way of the world. We didn't
Yeah.
really know. Neither one of us had. Well, speak for my parents, my mother and stepfather. They were terrible examples of what it's
Yeah.
like to be married or be a parent. So, we didn't know. We were just kind of going off the cuff.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like, I really feel that being intentional in your marriage. I'm glad this is the 6th point. Being intentional in your marriage is by far the most important thing you can do, because it's like that. I mean, well, she's, first of all, how are you treating your spouse? Well, she treats me like a piece of garbage. She never does this for me. She never does that for me. Right? Well, go look in the mirror. Look in the mirror.
But the opposite of that is when you express gratitude towards your spouse, the value of my life changes. And I think that's what's important. They benefit, he benefits, but so do I.
Right.
And so I think that's what's really important, is having gratitude in those relationships. Even in the difficult times, there's always something positive that comes from it.
It's biblical, right? What does it say in the Bible? Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't expect, if you're not being intentional about your relationship with your spouse, right? And there was somebody I was talking to that he wasn't even going. He was sleeping in his car in his driveway, right? He wasn't even going at night. It was like, what's wrong with you, right? I mean, but again, we can't blame it on the other spouse because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
But once they get good mentors in their life, and we start working with people, then
they realize that's not a benefit.
Not a benefit.
So, in closing this up here, I love this too. It says, when you focus on being intentional every day, you feel clearer, you feel more capable, and you feel more confident.
Right.
Who doesn't want to be more clear and more confident in their life? And that's in all aspects of our life. So if we can apply intentionality to everything that we do, our marriages, our work environment, our recovery, our self-care. I mean, self-care falls under that too.
Absolutely.
Being intentional about your self-care. You listed the 5 things that we try to follow in recovery.
Right.
If we're intentional in all of those areas, we're going to feel more confident. We're going to feel valued, and then the people around us feel confident. They feel valued. So it just kind of overflows on others.
On other people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, we hear, not only marriage, but in all sorts of situations. Well, look what he did to me. I don't care what he did to you. I don't care what your spouse did to you. What I care about is, how did you react?
Mm-hmm.
What was your part in whatever happened?
Right.
So our intention in our marriage and in everything that Cathy and I do is to keep our side of the street clean no matter what. And I know that could be hard because somebody could just be railing you, but what's my intention in life?
Yeah. Being present or being intentional allows you to be more present.
Yeah, absolutely. Mindful.
You're mindful and present. And it gives your life more clarity and meaning. I mean, I don't know. I feel good about life right now because I'm being intentional. It shifts who I am and how I show up in all those relationships. We
were watching a thing on Netflix yesterday, 40, the movie called 40, the 40th birthday, right? Remember? Yeah. And she was going, you're not present. You're not in your body. You're not mindful. You're not even here. How many of us are that person?
Or can be that person. Yeah, that's good.
So, it's intentionality.
Just take action on it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Just take action on being intentional in all those areas of your life, and it brings peace. It brings the chaos. It shoves the chaos away and brings peace into your life. It brings me more centered as well. So one thing that understand, Cathy and I have been working on this journey for almost 17 years. Okay. So now what happens is when I feel Cathy's
treat me a little less than respectful, and it's not like bad this, but I'll look at her and I'll say, "Is that how I talk to you? Just do me a favor. I don't talk to you that way. Don't talk to me that way, okay?" And she doesn't say another word. She listens, and I say it in a respectful way. I don't say it in a mean way, right? At first she was like, but now she's just like, I can say that to her, knowing that my side of the street is clean,
Right.
right? There's times when I just want to go, oh, woman, but I don't because she's my wife. I love her, right? And God tells me I got to protect her, so I'm going to protect her no matter what. So,
and that means protecting me from you sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's good. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
so-
no, this is just a great topic. Thought it was, like I said, intentionality. It's all an action word, so it does require us to take action on everything that we do.
So, we got our website,
Yes.
and do you want to talk a little bit about
Yeah.
that?
So we run everything under the primary website, which is Courageous Healers, and so
That's been for many years.
yeah. So Courageous Healers is our foundation that helps men, women, and families heal from the scars of abuse, and that abuse can be physical, emotional, spiritual, sexual. In some form or fashion of abuse, we have this foundation, and our goal is to help people to get the healing that they desire. Sometimes they don't always know that they
Right.
can even have that healing.
Right.
And so Randy, as a recovering healer of his own abuse, knows the value of how it can change your life and how it can change your life, not only for you, but for your family, your relationships.
Yeah.
So you can visit our website at courageoushealers.org. If you need to reach us, you can reach Randy through courageoushealers@gmail.com, or his phone number is area code 760-702-5498. That's 760-702-5498. We also have Healing Courageously. I apologize. That is the life coaching.
No, Change Your Life Story.
Change Your Life Story Now. Sorry. Change Your Life Story Now. I'm reading this up here. Change Your Life Story Now. And that is our coaching connection as well. So if you're looking for individual coaching, whether it's marriage coaching, individual recovery coaching, we encourage you to reach out to us. You can, again, reach out through the courageoushealers.org website. There's an area that you can.
We're going to put a link right on the very front page, so you can just click on it. And
Yep, there'll be a link that'll take you right to that page,
right.
And you can reach us there as well. And then you want to share about your book that you have. We talked about the book in Spanish.
Right.
But
Well, real quick before we do that, is that if you go to changeyourlifestorynow.com and click on marriage counseling, and there'll be another drop down. Click on SYMBIS, right? We now have the SYMBIS pages up there, right? Marriage counseling, and then the SYMBIS page explains what it is, the different packages we have, and the cost for each one of those packages.
Yeah,
okay?
So SYMBIS is saving your marriage before it starts. It's great to be used for premarital or even in marriage.
Right.
It's just go check it out. We would love to have you and have your feedback on that as well.
And that is separate from the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to make that very clear. But it's
we just have all kinds of opportunities for you to help heal.
Right.
So we don't want to miss anything in that.
You don't miss nothing.
But you do have your book. You talked about your Spanish version.
Yeah, and then Healing the Wounded Child Within is available on Amazon right now, and paperback, Kindle, and Audible, right? It is in Spanish. I had some communication with the editor the other day. She's finishing up the final editing and finishing up the book cover, the editing on the book cover. So I'm hoping again that that'll be available the end of September, beginning of October, and my goal is the end of September it'll be on Amazon.
Smart goal,
right? So it's there. So and we had lots of requests for that in the past, and it's just taken a while to get it all.
Yeah, I have one more thought too. If you guys have a topic that you would love us to talk about, go ahead and email us at courageoushealers@gmail.com with an idea or a topic. We are putting together a list of topics. We want to know what you want to hear. What are some areas of your life that you struggle in? What are some areas in your life that you just need to know more about? Maybe some areas that you've healed with, and how you healed, so that we can, maybe connect with you in that capacity as well. So we would love to have your input there as well.
Or if you have questions about today's episode.
Yeah, give us a call. Give us a call, shoot us an email.
Exactly. And then to finish this up, the call to action. And again, I want to stress this: healing, change your life story now is completely separate from the foundation. Okay, so when we put this call of action out for the Courageous Healers Foundation, 100% of that money, donations, contributions, goes into the Courageous Healers Foundation. It doesn't go anywhere else. So it's used strictly for what the foundation is.
And that is to help with our admin cost. It also helps us to reach out in our community. If we have a client that is unable to pay for services, that helps offset the cost of those services for that individual. Many people coming into recovery are limited on their finances. Right. And so we want to make sure that we give them the best opportunity for their healing journey by giving them a jump start. And so it's really important that any donation that you have, whether it be $5, $10, if you want to set up on a monthly monetary donation, you can do so at the courageoushealers.org website. And we would be forever grateful, as well as those clients that are looking to get on their healing journey as well.
And a lot of the recovery from the abuse side of the family, of the program, it's not a 2-3 month deal. There's a lot that's involved in it. There's the life coaching, there's health coaching, there's all sorts of stuff that goes in that. So
yeah, if you have any questions about that, please feel free to give us a call or shoot
Absolutely.
us an email, and we'll reach out to you too, because there is this. I know we're throwing a lot out there, but this is a huge dynamic. There is a lot involved with healing those scars, those inner children that are walking around in adult bodies. And so that's what we're here for. And we just ask for your help and your assistance and your prayer. Pray with us as well.
Absolutely.
For the continued growth of this foundation. So we thank you for that.
Yep, absolutely. We love you all. So.
Yes, have a great day.
Well, remember, nobody tells you they love you today. Randy does.
Kathy does.
But more importantly, who does?
God does.
Be blessed, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode.
Good. See you later.
This has been Healing Courageously with Randy Boyd. We will have a new episode every Monday. Please like us on iTunes or Google Play. If you would like to know more about the services available from Randy, please visit him at changeyourlifestorynow.com. Thank you for spending time with us. We'll see you next week. And remember, if nobody tells you they love you today, Randy does.